This is the best camp that I've ever seen him do with us. I've never witnessed him being this strong, this mentally prepared, and this hungry.
This next one with Islam, I don't know what the streets are saying. I don't really tap in too much, but I know the streets will probably be like, oh, he's just a striker, you know, boxer. Islam's gonna do this or that.
I think a lot of people look at it as like striker grappler, but it's not really. Like Islam's more than just a grappler. Like he's a strong all-round. Obviously, he's one of the best MMA guys. I think a lot of people just think he'll be able to hold me down. I think I got some tricks to get up.
Great day of sparring. The champ, Khabib, and Usman. A good little sparring session. 3 legends. One already is a legend. One sitting down is going to be a legend, and this guy will be a legend also.
The wait is finally about to end, as UFC 322 is now just less than a week away, where Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena will compete for the welterweight title. Islam is looking for this fight, and he's looking a lot bigger this time, and that's why Khabib wants him to stay at welterweight now. Khabib Nurmagomedov hopes Islam Makhachev continues at welterweight, noting that staying in a single division long-term is challenging. He praises Islam's preparation and conditioning as he aims for the welterweight title and anticipates historic achievements. Khabib Nurmagomedov said, "I want Islam to stay at welterweight because he just turned 34. It's not easy to be in one weight class all your life. He's preparing for the welterweight title, he's looking good, he's in shape, and we hope he's going to make big history." Khabib highlights what sets Islam Makhachev apart, noting his discipline and fierce competitive nature. He explains that these qualities define Islam's approach and drive in the cage, making him a standout athlete. Khabib also thinks that if Islam Makhachev captures a second belt, he could cement his place among the all-time greats in MMA. Khabib added, "He's disciplined and he really likes to compete. He is such a competitor. I think these two things drive him, and after winning the second title, he will have a chance to become one of the best ever to do it in the sport." Khabib Nurmagomedov also explains that he pushes his fighters hard in training so they stay calm and confident in the cage. He believes intense preparation ensures they perform at their best under pressure.
I see you in the training camp, in the gym, and you say, if you want to cry, go home to your mom. Just leave. And the way you talk to them is very rough. Just take it easy on them. Why you do so much dhulm on these guys?
Because when they go to the cage, I wanna sit like everybody else and don't be nervous. Because if I squeeze them in training, they're gonna look good inside the cage.
Khabib Nurmagomedov admits that coaching is far more difficult than fighting, as he's no longer in control inside the cage. Khabib says it's tough to watch someone he cares about go to war, while he can only give advice from the outside.
Honestly, most difficult part, because all my life I was inside the cage and fighting, but now I'm sitting outside and talking. It's this one I don't like, because it's very hard to control what like brothers doing, you know. You can give advice, you know. Can you imagine somebody you love and you go fight, then you cannot help him. It's like same thing. It's not easy, you know. Sometimes like Usman fight last fight, after his fight, 3 days I was kind of like in normal emotional position. You know, it's not easy.
Meanwhile, Javier Mendez reveals that Islam Makhachev began this training camp at a noticeably higher weight than usual, roughly 10 pounds heavier than in previous camps. He mentions that the added size suits Islam well and that his current walk-around weight makes him a natural fit for the welterweight division.
As a coach, are you happy to see him be able to be a little bit healthier as well? Like, I imagine towards the end of that lightweight run, he's such a professional, he's always going to be making the weight, but he was always quite a big lightweight, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was basically, he'd walk into training camp around 179, 180, you know, and this camp here, he came in about 190, 191, you know, so it's 10 pounds heavier. But you got to remember, you know, there's a big difference between 155 and 170. That's a 15-pound difference. So he has 5 pounds less to lose on this one than the last one. So, you know, that could very well be why he's stronger, you know, this camp, because he didn't have as much to lose, you know. But still, I think, you know, for a 170, I think he's not a bad 170. We walk around 190, you know, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
Javier Mendez describes Islam's current training camp as the most impressive of his career. He notes that Islam has shown progress in every area, including striking, grappling, conditioning, and mindset, displaying complete growth as a fighter. Mendez emphasizes that this is the strongest, most focused, and most determined version of Islam he has ever witnessed. He believes that with this level of preparation, Islam is ready to capture the welterweight title.
Every part of his game impressed me. He's improved everywhere. The stand-up, the ground, the conditioning, the mentality, you name it. This one, he eclipsed any other camp I've ever been with him. This is the best camp that I've ever seen him do with us. I've never witnessed him being this strong, this mentally prepared, and this hungry. He's this hungry. So I know what I have, and we have a hell of a challenger for that welterweight title, and I really strongly believe that we're going to take that title, but it ain't going to be easy. It ain't going to be easy, you know, but we have to respect Jack immensely in order to be able to do that. If we don't respect him, I think we can run into problems, but the problem with respecting him, everybody in our camp respects him immensely, so I think we're well on the right track.
On the other hand, JDM earlier mocked Islam for being too small for the welterweight division and was confident to beat him at UFC 322.
Your first defense is most likely against pound-for-pound #1 in the world, the lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. Talk me through about that particular matchup and what you think and how excited you are to prove yourself yet again.
Yeah, it's the dream first title defense, pound-for-pound #1. Get him back for Volk. We saw what Volk did to him. I'm gonna get him. He's too little. I'm gonna get him.
However, Javier Mendez responds to claims from Jack Della Maddalena suggesting Islam Makhachev is too small for welterweight. He explains that while they believe Islam is easy to figure out, he isn't concerned with their assumptions. Mendez stresses that the team is fully prepared for a tough challenge and holds great respect for Jack as a champion. He mentions watching Jack's fight with Belal Muhammad multiple times, emphasizing how seriously they're taking this matchup.
What did you make of JDM saying that he thinks Islam is too small for the weight class?
I don't know. I mean, they say his camp has also alluded to the fact that Islam's easy to figure out too, and I don't know what their plan is. I really don't. All I know is, you know, we're prepared for a super tough JDM, and don't care what I hear on any side. I know what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a hell of a champion that we respect. We have a huge amount of respect for him. And myself personally, I watched the fight on between him and Belal Muhammad 7 times, and I've never done that with anybody. 7 times I watched it.
Wow.
That's a lot because I respect him. He's good, man. He's good. You know, I believe we're going to beat him, but we doing our homework, you know. This guy's good. He's really good.
Javier Mendez also reflects on Belal Muhammad's performance against Jack Della Maddalena, admitting he watched the fight several times and scored it 2-2 going into the final round where Jack pulled ahead. He felt the bout was competitive but ultimately leaned in Jack's favor, and Mendez adds that Belal's game plan worked against him, while Jack executed his strategy perfectly to secure the win.
Look at the Belal fight, you know, it was actually, you know, I rewatched that so many times, so I really had that sucker 2-2 until the last round, which is where you know, Jack won. But that was 2-2 in my opinion. You know, I had that really close, you know, and I had it for Jack for sure, but that was a close fight. It wasn't no gimme by any chance, you know. Belal came in to fight. He just fought the wrong strategy, I feel, and Jack didn't. He fought the right one.
Jack Della Maddalena also admits that it won't be an easy fight and describes Islam Makhachev as a well-rounded fighter with strong striking, capable of throwing elbows, knees, kicks, and punches with real power from the southpaw stance. He makes it clear that he doesn't view Islam as only a grappler, recognizing him as one of the best martial artists in the world and a tough opponent everywhere. Despite that, Jack believes he holds the advantage on the feet if he makes the right choices during the fight.
When it comes to the striking of Islam Makhachev, I saw an interview with you in Style Bender, where you said you would rate it above Khabib. In general, how would you rank his stand-up if it were to stay on the feet?
I think he's got good stand-up. He's a well-rounded. He throws it all: elbows, knees, kicks, punches. He's got power, southpaw. It's a tough fight, you know. I definitely don't look at him as just a grappler. And yeah, the fight isn't just keeping it on the feet and it's going to be easy. The fight is pretty much, the whole fight is a tough fight. One of the best martial artists in the world, you know, so there's no, I definitely I don't look at him as just a grappler. I think his strength is obviously in the grappling, but it's still a tough fight on the feet and I've got to make the right decisions. But I think I've got the upper hand on the feet.
Jack Della Maddalena wants to avenge his countryman Alexander Volkanovski's tough matchup against Islam Makhachev. He respects Volkanovski's performance in the first fight despite long odds and feels the second bout was extremely challenging and short notice. Jack is motivated to deliver a win for his fellow Australian and the fans, aiming to make things right in the eyes of the audience. JDM said, "I just obviously look up to Volk. I feel like in the first fight, the odds were stacked against him, and he still put on an incredible performance. Everyone in the arena felt the atmosphere, and many thought Volk had won. Then in the second fight, things were fully stacked against him at extremely short notice. I really look up to Volk. He's an amazing man, and I just want to get it back to the audience. I can't let them feel that way again, so I feel confident I can get the job done." Meanwhile, Khamzat Chimaev expects Islam Makhachev to defeat Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 322. He finds the matchup intriguing, especially with Islam moving up in weight, and predicts Makhachev will use his wrestling to control the fight. Chimaev believes Islam's grappling pressure will steadily limit Jack's striking as the rounds progress.
Jack or Islam? Islam will get the arena and Jack will do that. My training, my asking the coach brother wait to what he gonna say, we'll see. Your opinion, 10% or more than menos. Islam luktar je zbara. Štito. Coach says 55% Maddalena, 45 Islam, but I think Islam will see. Both good fighters. Islam moving up, it's interesting to see what's he gonna do. But I think Islam will be more, he's gonna use his wrestling more in this fight.
However, Michael Chandler favors Jack Della Maddalena slightly, admiring his clean fundamentals and accurate striking. He highlights Jack's skill in managing distance while applying consistent pressure to disrupt opponents. Chandler acknowledges that Team Makhachev is trained with larger, stronger partners, so size won't be an issue. Still, he sees the deciding factor as whether Jack can stay composed under Islam's relentless wrestling while continuing to land effective shots.
How do you think Islam does next weekend?
JDM is a tough. He's not much of a puzzle, man. He's pretty basic, but he is brilliant and violent and devastating with the basics, man. A little bit of range, a little bit of reach on Islam, and I won't even sit there and say, because Islam's a different breed, man. I wouldn't sit there and say, oh, he's a 155er, so he's not used to going with 170 pounders. I would not be surprised if Islam, his entire career, has been sparring with 55, 70, 185, and 205ers, because the dude's kind of a nut. So I think I don't think strength or size is going to be the problem. It's really going to be the dichotomy between JDM's great striking abilities and is his takedown defense enough to stop the onslaught of wrestling that Islam's going to bring.
Neil Magny believes Jack Della Maddalena has a solid shot at victory. He notes Jack's skill in shutting down wrestling, citing his fight against Belal Muhammad as evidence. Magny stresses that Islam Makhachev's achievements shouldn't be directly compared to Khabib's, as they are very different fighters. He feels Jack has the tools to shock fans and possibly secure the win.
Feel on this fight? Like, do you have a good feeling on who you think might win this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is my unbiased opinion. I'm not just saying this because I'm in Australia, but I feel like JDM has a really good chance going into this fight. I mean, he's definitely proven himself being able to shut down the wrestling in his fight against Belal Muhammad here most recently. And I think he's going to go out there and really shock a lot of people. I mean, I think a lot of people aren't giving him credit. You're accustomed to seeing guys like Islam win, and you're accustomed to associating his success with Khabib's success. But at the end of the day, those guys are two completely different fighters, and I think JDM definitely has the tools to go out there and shock a lot of people and beat Islam.
Luke Thomas shares that Jack Della Maddalena's path to victory depends on strong takedown defense and avoiding back exposure. He feels that if the fight remains largely on the fade, Islam Makhachev will face real difficulties. While recognizing Islam's striking ability, Thomas notes that Jack's skills, paired with the size difference from moving up in weight, give him a clear edge in a primarily stand-up contest.
What do you actually feel like is going to be the X factor here for JDM to be able to beat someone as accomplished and difficult as Islam Makhachev here?
Back exposure and takedown defense and wrestling up, period. I mean, it just doesn't seem very difficult for me to think that if this fight is a striking contest predominantly, Islam's going to have real problems. Islam is not a striker by any stretch of the imagination. I think everyone would agree, but he's not JDM. And again, up a weight class too, not just in terms of pure ability, but how that leverages up a weight class. If he can make this a striking contest, then, you know, predominantly, not exclusively of course, but predominantly, then I feel like it's his fight to lose, to be honest with you.
Luke Thomas feels that Jack Della Maddalena needs to avoid takedowns and protect his back to have a strong chance of winning. If he's taken down, he must quickly return to his feet without leaving submission openings. Thomas stresses that combining solid wrestling defense, minimal back exposure, and effective striking will be key for Jack to secure the victory.
But, you know, if he's constantly getting taken down, if he is being held down, if he is giving up back exposure, even then he might be able to find ways to win, but it makes the job radically more difficult. This is, if you're going to get taken, first of all, don't get taken down. And if you're going to get taken down, don't create back exposure and wrestle up quickly without creating submission opportunities. Like, that is the name of the game, in addition to how you set that up with your striking. But that wrestling up, back exposure, takedowns, he cannot have that be a significant part of this fight and I think win.
Moreover, Eugene Behrman fully backs Jack Della Maddalena, saying he represents their region. He notes that Islam Makhachev isn't unbeatable, citing his previous knockout loss and Alexander Volkanovski's success against him as examples of vulnerabilities. Behrman adds that while some fans may disagree, a clear strategy to challenge Makhachev already exists.
What is your feel on this one? And also, what do you think of the odds, man? Islam very heavy favorite going into this one.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I was obviously backing Jack. Like, Jack's, you know, he's one of the boys from our neighborhood, so he's from our side of the world. And look, Islam, there's a blueprint for beating Islam. He's been knocked out before. And Volk's beaten him already, you know what I'm saying? People are going to come in the comments about that.
Eugene Behrman noted that Islam Makhachev's wrestling is tough to counter, but vulnerabilities exist. He explained that Islam is deadly with single, precise strikes, yet openings appear when he's forced into extended combinations. Behrman believes that applying pressure to make Islam throw multiple punches could allow disciplined strikers like Jack Della Maddalena to exploit those gaps.
But yeah, there's a bit of a blueprint out there. Look, if you can, obviously it's a difficult thing to counter the wrestling, but Islam, you know, you'll find holes. What you have to do with Islam is you have to get him. He's very good at throwing one shot. He can pick you off and throw one shot very well. But you need to put Islam in a position where he has to fight to win the round, and that means he has to put 2 and 3 punches together. His vulnerabilities come when he has to fight with you and put 2 or 3 punches together. That's when the holes start appearing, and that's because you just, you know, like, yeah, you're a wrestler. Like, at a high level, the holes start really appearing when there's a lot of pressure, and you have to put 2 or 3 punches together to hang with the other person. And that's where Jack will find the vulnerabilities. But they know that, bro. They're a very smart team, and yeah, it's a very interesting fight.
Meanwhile, Stephen Thompson considers the fight unpredictable, highlighting the physical demands of moving to welterweight. He explains that many 170-pound fighters walk around well over 200 pounds, which could challenge Islam Makhachev despite his solid build. Thompson acknowledges Islam's grappling gives him an edge, but notes Jack Della Maddalena has already handled top wrestlers in the division, making it a tough test for both fighters.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, you know, over 205, 210 to the 215. Some of the guys that I faced would walk around at that weight. I mean, I think like the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JD might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler. But like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division, Bilal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him.
Furthermore, Ali Abdelaziz reveals that Islam Makhachev is in prime form ahead of his bout with Jack Della Maddalena. He claims that if this version of Islam faced his younger self, the fight would end in the first round. Abdelaziz adds that Makhachev is stronger, bigger, and healthier than ever, no longer struggling with weight, and consistently making his opponents appear outclassed.
Spending some time around Islam, how is he looking going into this fight now that we're so close to his welterweight debut? What does a welterweight Islam Makhachev look like in the training room?
He's the best Islam. If Islam right now fought the old Islam, we beat him in the first round. He's big, he's strong, he's healthy, he's happy, he's not suffering cutting weight, and he's very, very strong. He make everyone feel like an amateur.
So, that is it for today's video. How do you see this matchup playing out? Drop your predictions in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more amazing videos.